Hi, I'm Jeff Schwartz. This is our November 2018 update. Let's check out what we got going on this month. This 70 CUDA has a Schwartz G-Machine chassis in it, as well as a 426 Hemi. We did a bunch of work on this years ago, and it developed an exhaust leak by the header, so we've repaired that by fabricating a new header collector, and it's getting ready to go out for tuning next week, and we'll get it running real nice, and it'll get back to the customer and he can start driving it some more. They're doing some final assembly on this Tri-5 chassis. This is going under a 55 Bel Air. We've been really cranking out the chassis lately. There's 10 of them just in this room alone. Here's another Tri-5 chassis we got on the jig here. This one's going in a 56 Bel Air. So we actually had a little time in between snowfalls to drive this 70 Buick Skylark around a bit. Right now they're doing a final bleed on the brakes, but seems like it runs and drives pretty nicely. We've got the dashboard all stitched up, and we've got the seats in there right now. It still needs the final interior done. We fabricated the custom armrests and so forth, so we wanted to get a few things in there so we could test drive it while we're waiting to get into the interior shop. Here's that 71 CUDA we've been working on. We fabricated brackets to mount the shaker a while ago, but didn't final fit the shaker to the hood, so we're doing that right at this point in time and doing all the detail assembly. So we've got fender vents and marker lights and tail lights and so forth in there. This one's got LEDs. We've test fitted the mirrors and so forth, and the air ride's in there. We're just continuing on the final assembly stages here, and then interior. We do have to dyno tune that as well, so it should be coming up pretty soon. What we've got here is a 47 Hudson. You all know we love doing oddball project. This is really an oddball. The interesting thing about this is it was around Crystal Lake, Illinois its entire life, and it was used in a lot of the parades, 4th of July parades and things like that. I'm amazed by some of these oddball companies, some of the engineering things that they had in their cars. Like, you know, we've all, as hot rodders, done tilt front ends. Well, this actually had the hood tilting forward like you see it from the factory back in the day. And I know there were some other brands that did some similar things, but you know, this was in 1947. Also, the engine is set way back behind the front wheel center line, as well as the radiator. So, you know, moving the center of gravity and the front to rear weight distribution, you know, more towards the back of the car, because most of these old cars were pretty nose heavy. A lot of different things we've noticed besides that, and I don't remember all of them right now, but kind of a cool old piece. So this is getting a full Pro Touring build. We've got a rendering being done right now. I've got a vision in my head, and I've got somebody working on a design for it, and we've got some Forge Line vintage wheels picked out for it, which I'll be ordering pretty soon. This is getting a 392 Hemi, modern 392 Hemi, and we're going to make it look old school, so it'll look like it's got a carburetor on it, but it'll be a drive-by-wire throttle body, and it'll have valve covers that look like an old Hemi polished valve covers with spark plug wires going in the top of them. So it'll be a pretty interesting project that I'm really excited about. This is the 75 Trans Am with the Whipple Charged LT4, and we ran into a little problem with the alternator contacting the chassis here, so we've got some new components coming for the alternator mounting bracket that'll move that away from there a little bit, and then we'll have clearance. We've got most of the plumbing done as far as the intercooler system and such, and we'll continue on with that shortly here. This is that 71 Monte Carlo Dale talked about last month, and we chucked a big block in there with a low profile oil pan just to double check everything and make sure the fitment was good and the oil pan height is correct, and it's just about the same level as the lower part of the chassis, so it's you know, as low as it can be for good center of gravity, and it's got plenty of ground clearance. So we're good to go on this. We'll just be pulling this out, blasting the bottom, bed line in the bottom, and then we'll get it back to the customer. This is just a chassis install essentially, and a few little other things that we did. We successfully fitted an early Nova bumper onto this 74 Nova, and we've had to fabricate a couple extra pieces here to extend this corner piece down closer to the bumper. So that stuff will all get painted in this case. Most of it's getting painted body color or black trim. So that should look pretty nicely once we get it all dialed in. And we're going to keep the parking light turn signal up here and fill in the ones in the bumper. And then we've got plenty of airflow with the holes there that'll add cooling air to the intercooler, heat exchanger, and radiator and so forth. So we still got a little bit of fab work to do here to clean up the core support and such, but we're plumbing and dialing in all our routing of things, so looking pretty well. On this 67 Barracuda Hellcat powered car, we finally finished fabricating the remaining pieces of our floor in there and got those tacked in. And we've been working on the wiper motor fitment and also the power windows for this. So we previously modified the rear seat back to clear the mini tub so it still has the folding down feature. And that's where we're at this stage of the game, and keep rolling along on it. This is the hood for that Eleanor Mustang, which has a forward-facing scoop on this particular variation of it. There's so many pieces to a Mustang, in particularly the Eleanor, which has scoops on the side of it for brake ducts and brake cooling and so forth, along with the side exhaust pieces. We've got headlight extensions and taillight extensions and all these die-cast pieces that bolt on the end of the fender. So most of all of that stuff is in high build primer now, as well as this. So these are like the very final stages of sanding before painting. That's all we have for this month, folks. Be sure and like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And happy holidays, and be sure and watch next month.